Greetings and welcome to the Rock Island Lines in HO scale. I really enjoy running freight trains and passenger trains at prototypical speeds on my Rock Island layout. One of the things I've done recently is adjusted and speed matched all of my freight locomotives to a maximum speed of 50 miles per hour and passenger locomotives to 60 miles per hour. You can see here on the left, this is a freight locomotive number 255. And passenger locomotive here on the right, number 632. I used a speed matching process that's explained in a YouTube video by Kevin of scale model trains and Colorado joint line, which has proven to be very effective. You can view his video on the YouTube channel. The beauty of Kevin's method for speed matching freight locomotives to a maximum speed of 50 is that using my Digitrax throttle, I can determine the speed I'm operating at by simply dividing in half the throttle step that's shown on the throttle. The Digitrax throttle has 99 throttle steps, which is close enough to 100. Therefore, speeds can be figured by 1/2 the throttle step setting. So if you look here at a Digitrax throttle, you can see this is the throttle setting, 80. So in this example, locomotive 255, freight locomotive at speed step 80 would be doing approximately 40 miles per hour, plus or minus 2 miles per hour. For passenger train speeds, you can't use the same approach or 1/2 the throttle step procedure. So to aid the operator, I put together this reference card, and as you can see, for example, at speed setting, throttle setting of 67 on the Digitrax throttle, you'd be operating at approximately 40 miles per hour, again, plus or minus 2 miles per hour. Once my locomotives were speed matched, I decided that it would make operations more fun and prototypical if some permanent speed zones were added to the layout. So I added 5 permanent speed zones which require the operator to do some planning ahead in order to slow the train to the designated slower speed. The reduced speed zones are in place on my layout over 2 curved turnouts, the crossing diamond at Clear Lake Junction, through the curves around Dayton's Bluff, and through the station area at Des Moines. So let's take a look at a couple of the permanent speed zones. The first speed zone I'm going to show you is this one near Dayton's Bluff. As you can see, I've listed the speed restriction right on the fascia, and the designation P60 indicates that's for passenger train, 60 mile an hour, and the F is for freight trains, F50. If there is no letter ahead of the number or the speed, then that applies to all trains. So in this situation where a train was coming into the speed zone, operating into it, it would have to be down to 35 miles per hour at this point, which is marked on the fascia. A train going the opposite direction, which would be leaving the speed zone, leaving this 35 mile per hour, going toward the higher speed, it can resume that speed once the rear of the train has passed the yellow mark here. This particular speed restriction is for the curves in the Dayton's Bluff area on my layout. Now let's look at another permanent speed restriction. This next speed zone is at Des Moines, Iowa, and as you can see, it's a passenger train 60, freight train 50. Those are the maximum speeds on the layout. And then this particular restriction starts at this point here, and it's a 25 mile per hour head end only. What that means is once the head end of the train gets to the other end of the restriction, which is just past the station or the depot at Des Moines, then the train can resume full speed, In the case of a passenger train, it can go back to 60, a freight train back to 50 miles per hour. These head-end restrictions are not uncommon at all, and on the real railroads, they're used often to protect speeds over road crossings and through towns, and they're often driven by city ordinances. So this particular restriction, as I mentioned, is in Des Moines near the depot area in order to protect trains actually going through the station at Des Moines. Okay, so now what we're going to do is bring a freight train through at 50 miles an hour. It's locomotive 120, speed step 99. Should be doing close to 50 miles an hour. Let's see what the speedometer says. It says 49. Of course, we want plus or minus 2 miles an hour, so that's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is slow him down. I'm going to slow this train down. Now as I'm slowing him down, the speedometer stays at 49. It pretty much freezes on the speed that it reads at the head end. And I'm going to slow him down to 30 miles per hour for speed restriction at Clear Lake Junction. So I'm going to put him on throttle setting 60, which I've got him down to right now. So he's on throttle setting 60. Let's go take a look. Pardon the camera while we move it over here. Don't want to make you dizzy, but we're going to check the speed going through Clear Lake Junction over the crossing diamond. So let me set this down, get this in place so that we can read it. There's the speedometer. He should be down to pretty close to 30 plus or minus 2. So he's at 29. And of course he's now passing over the crossing diamond at Clear Lake Junction. That speed restriction started, you can see on the fascia it's right here. And then the other end of the restriction is about where the head end is now. So I just wanted to give you this overview of how I have chosen to use permanent speed zones on the layout to add some interest to prototypical operations. Thanks very much for watching.